Dear friends, subscribe to my channel, Viral Story Hub. It's your hub for viral stories and exciting content. Join us and stay updated. Don't miss out.
Judge mocks black girl in court. Shocked to learn she's a genius attorney in disguise. A hush fell across the Pinewood Courthouse lobby as a slight, unassuming young woman stepped inside. Her name was Jordan Holt, a black girl barely out of her teens, dressed in a conservative blouse and plain trousers. In one hand, she clutched a battered briefcase. In the other, she held a neat stack of files. Lawyers and clerks passing by barely spared her a glance as she made her way to the courtroom. Jordan paused at the heavy doors, her heart pounding. She knew her mission: to represent her father, wrongfully accused of breaching a corporate contract. She also knew this courthouse had a reputation for scorn toward anyone who looked too young or too ordinary. Still, she steadied herself, inhaled deeply, and pushed open the doors. Inside, the buzz of conversation ebbed when Judge Norland took his seat behind the elevated bench. He was known for impatience and a tendency to belittle those who failed to meet his lofty standards. His sharp gaze flicked over Jordan as she stepped forward, ignoring the second row of spectators who stared at her curiously. "Is this some kind of joke?" Judge Norland demanded, rapping his gavel. "We're here for the Holt versus Hamilton Corp hearing. Where is the real counsel for the defense?" Jordan lifted her chin. "I'm Jordan Holt, Your Honor. I'll be representing my father." Her voice carried confidence far bolder than her appearance suggested. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The opposing attorney, a tall man in an immaculate suit, sneered. "Your Honor, I object to this. Charade. Miss Holt doesn't appear to be a licensed attorney. If her father can't afford counsel, he should file for a court-appointed lawyer." Judge Norland's eyes narrowed. "Miss Holt, are you certain you know what you're doing?" Jordan clutched the battered briefcase a little tighter. "Yes, Your Honor. I've spent the past year preparing this case. The law permits anyone to represent themselves or family members as pro se counsel. I'm ready." The judge's lips twisted. We'll see. State your opening argument." Jordan drew a slow breath and stepped to the defense table. Her posture straightened, revealing a calm presence that contrasted with her youthful appearance. "My father, Leonard Holt, was accused of violating an exclusivity clause in a contract with Hamilton Corp. However, the terms Hamilton represented are fraudulent. I intend to prove this using official records Hamilton tried to hide." The opposing attorney scoffed. "She's delusional, Your Honor. We'll show that Leonard Holt violated contractual obligations, costing Hamilton a considerable sum." Judge Norland made a dismissive gesture. "Proceed, Miss Holt, but do not waste the court's time." Jordan nodded and began systematically citing clauses from the disputed contract, referencing obscure precedents that the crowd, at first, assumed she couldn't possibly know by heart. Yet her words flowed with a clarity that commanded attention. Beneath her measured tone was an unmistakable note of passion. Even Judge Norland's skeptical frown softened as she presented detail after detail, each supported with meticulous evidence. When it was the opposing attorney's turn, he fired back with standard corporate legal arguments, but Jordan anticipated each one. She flipped swiftly through her notes, countering every claim with surprising ease, citing legal codes to undermine Hamilton's stance. One by one, the attorney's bombastic arguments fell flat under Jordan's calm precision. At last, Jordan stepped forward for her concluding point. "Your Honor," she said, her gaze firmly on Judge Norland, "the evidence reveals Hamilton Corporation doctored the original contract after my father signed it. This addendum," she produced a photocopy, "was inserted illegally. A forensic specialist verified that the typed text on the page 5 uses a different font than the rest, matching an office computer Hamilton purchased 3 months after the signature date." An audible gasp spread through the gallery. Even Judge Norland's jaw tensed with intrigue. The opposing attorney reddened, frantically shuffling his papers. Judge Norland cleared his throat. "Is this verified?" he asked in a measured tone. "Yes, Your Honor." Jordan presented lab reports confirming the mismatch. "The addendum was not part of the agreement when my father signed. Hamilton Corporation effectively entrapped him. The gallery erupted in hushed conversation. The judge banged his gavel for order. If these documents are authentic, Hamilton has committed a serious wrongdoing. The opposing attorney fumbled for an explanation, but Jordan pressed on. Your Honor, I humbly request all charges be dismissed and that my fathers be compensated for the stress and financial losses caused by this deceit. For a moment, silence reigned. Judge Norland's gaze flicked from the forged addendum to Jordan's earnest expression. Then he let out a long exhale. Very well. Court is prepared to rule. In light of the new evidence, the prosecution's case holds no merit. Charges against Leonard Holt are dropped. Further, Hamilton Corporation will face an investigation for potential fraud. The court grants the defendant relief in damages. A wave of elation coursed through the spectators. Jordan's father, sitting quietly behind her, lowered his face into his hands, overcome with relief. Jordan felt tears, threatened but stood tall, not wanting to break her composure, just yet. Judge Norland addressed the packed room. This is highly irregular. A young woman like Miss Holt outmaneuvering an experienced corporate lawyer. I suspect we have witnessed the emergence of a brilliant legal mind. He turned his gaze to Jordan, eyes crinkling with begrudging respect. Miss Holt, you have my apology for doubting your abilities. You've shown remarkable skill. The once sneering opposing attorney stared at the floor, shoulders sagging in defeat. Jordan's father hurried up to hug her, voice trembling. You saved me. I'm proud of you. Judge Norland actually smiled a bit. Miss Holt, he said, if you ever decide to pursue a formal law degree, I have connections at Redwood University. It's not every day I see such clarity in arguments from a fully licensed attorney, let alone a self-taught mind like yours. Jordan finally allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. Thank you, Your Honor, she said quietly. She turned to see the gallery's reaction. Many faces looked awed. A few were wiping tears. Her father's gratitude radiated across his relieved features. The judge rose to exit, but paused, leaning towards Jordan. Society may not always recognize brilliance in unexpected places, he murmured, but never let that stop you. Today proved that appearances can be deceiving. Stepping outside, Jordan and her father were greeted by a swirl of onlookers in the corridor. Some congratulated her with warm words, praising her composure and meticulous research. Others were simply astonished that this unassuming young black woman had toppled a corporate giant in open court. After the crowd thinned, Jordan found herself in a quiet hallway with her father. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You gave up so much time, studying late into the night. I'm sorry you had to do this. She looked up at him, eyes shining. I'd do it all again, she replied. We had no choice, and I believed in your innocence. All we needed was a chance. He nodded, tears brimming. I can't thank you enough. But maybe the world can benefit from your skill, not just me. Jordan felt a rush of possibility. She recalled the judge's offer of mentorship, a future in law. Once only a dream, now seemed entirely real. Could it be that her months of studying had opened a new path? She brushed away a tear, remembering how it felt to stand in front of a judge and prove the truth. Dad, she said, voice quivering with excitement, I think I want to go for it. Law school, the bar exam, everything. He broke into a wide grin. That's the best news I've heard in a long time. I believe you'll shine. And so their life changed in that moment. They walked out under the bright midday sun, fresh warmth on their faces. No longer weighed down by injustice, they embraced a new beginning. Weeks later, Jordan found herself rereading her meticulously compiled legal notes, hardly believing how a self-taught skill had taken her from the brink of defeat to a landslide victory in court. If a judge known for cutting remarks and had recognized her genius, then maybe she really did have what it took. Maybe she could champion others who had no one else to help them. She applied to Redwood University's pre-law program, adding Judge Norland's name as a reference. Within months, an acceptance letter arrived. As she tore it open, her heart pounded in anticipation. The letter read, Congratulations, Jordan Holt. We were impressed by your extraordinary determination. We look forward to seeing you thrive in our program. From that day on, Jordan worked tirelessly, aiming to become a full-fledged attorney, dedicating herself to justice for all, starting with the father she'd already rescued. Sometimes a single courtroom showdown can reveal hidden brilliance, break down barriers, and spark an entire future. Jordan's story was proof that talent and love for one's family can outweigh prejudice, even in the sternest judge's courtroom.